Act as if nothing bothers you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple question. What would your life look like if nothing bothered you? I'm not saying life wouldn't throw its punches. I'm saying, what if you moved as if none of those punches could knock you down? See, most people let little things steal their peace. A comment, a delay, a door that won't open. They carry around the weight of irritation, anger, and self-doubt, and it drains their power. But the people who rise, the ones who win, they act as if nothing bothers them. That's not ignorance, that's control, that's power. You've got to decide that your attitude is yours. It doesn't belong to the weather. It doesn't belong to the traffic. It doesn't belong to people who don't understand your journey. It belongs to you, and when you act as if nothing bothers you, guess what happens? You take your power back. It's not that you don't feel pain. It's that you refuse to live in it. It's not that you don't hear the noise. It's that you've trained your mind to listen to a higher voice. The voice that says, I've got goals bigger than gossip. I've got purpose stronger than pain. I've got discipline deeper than distraction. That kind of mindset doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. From a decision, a daily decision to carry yourself with peace in chaos, to smile in storms, to walk like you already have the victory, even if life is still trying to knock you around. And let me tell you something. People will notice. They'll say, how come nothing seems to faze you? And you'll say, because I made up my mind. My mood is mine. My mission is bigger than my mood. My peace is not up for grabs. So today, act as if nothing bothers you, even when it does, because that's how you train your mind. That's how you develop the armor. That's how you build the focus, the poise, the resilience that champions live by. Remember this, storms pass. Emotions fade, but your habits, how you respond, that's what shapes your destiny. Now go out there and walk like the storm fears you. Here are 5 key points for act as if nothing bothers you. 1. Your response is your power. Protect it fiercely. 2. Control your mood or your mood will control your mission. 3. Peace is a decision, not a condition. 4. Train your mind to rise above, not react below. 5. Walk like you own the outcome, not like you fear the opposition. 1. Your response is your power. Protect it fiercely. That's not just a catchy line. It's a truth that can shape your entire life. Most people live in reaction mode. Something happens and they respond without thinking. Someone cuts them off in traffic. They yell. A coworker throws shade. They stew all day. One negative comment online and their whole energy shifts. And the worst part, they don't even realize they've given their power away. See, power doesn't always come from strength. It comes from control, from restraint, from choosing your response even when emotions are loud and boiling. Every time you let someone else decide how you feel, you give them the wheel. You hand over the keys to your peace, and once you do that, you're no longer driving. You're just being dragged around by whatever comes next. But imagine this. Someone says something rude, you hear it. You feel it, but instead of reacting, you breathe, you pause, you decide, this doesn't deserve my energy. In that moment, you've done something extraordinary. You've proven that your mind works for you, not for your emotions. That is strength, that is power. People underestimate how much energy they lose by reacting to everything. They spend hours rethinking a conversation, replaying an argument, and predicting what they should have said. They exhaust themselves emotionally, mentally, and even physically. But when you protect your response, when you train yourself to respond with intention, you save that energy for things that matter. Your goals, your dreams, your growth. Now, this doesn't mean you become cold or emotionless. Not at all. You'll feel it. You'll get angry. You'll get disappointed. You're human, but the difference is you won't let those feelings run the show. You won't let a moment's irritation burn down a day's worth of peace, and you sure won't let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Think about the times when you reacted out of anger. Did it help? Or did it cost you something? Maybe your peace, your clarity, or even a relationship. The truth is, uncontrolled reactions usually do more damage than the original issue ever could. That's why self-control isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. Your power lives in the pause, that small space between stimulus and response. That's where champions are built. That's where leaders rise, because in that moment you have a choice. Do I react like the old me, or do I respond like the future I'm building? Do I give away my power, or do I guard it like the precious thing it is? You've got to decide that your energy is sacred, that not every comment deserves a comeback, that not every situation deserves your stress. Some things are just noise, and your peace is too expensive to trade for noise. Let's take a step back. Why do people react so quickly, so emotionally? Often, it's habit. It's conditioning. They've trained their minds to defend, to attack, to explode. Maybe they grew up in chaos, so they learned to live in defense mode. Maybe they've been hurt, and every little trigger reopens that wound. But here's the beauty. Just like those habits were built, they can be unbuilt, replaced, rewritten. It starts with awareness. When you feel that heat rise in your chest, that tightness in your jaw, that urge to snap back, pause. Just for a second, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter in an hour, in a week? Most of the time, the answer is no, and once you recognize that, you free yourself. There's also a shift that happens when you stop reacting. You become unpredictable. In a good way. People expect you to lash out, to defend yourself, to argue. But when you don't, when you stay composed, you shake the whole system. You rise above the chaos, and suddenly you're the one in control. Not just of the moment, but of the entire atmosphere. Look at people who lead with impact, people you admire. They don't lose their cool every time something goes wrong. They don't explode over minor setbacks. They know how to stay centered. That's not by accident. That's discipline. That's inner work. And that's a skill you can build. Start small. Don't try to master every emotion overnight. Begin with one situation a day. One trigger, one reaction you'd normally give into, catch it, pause, choose differently. Over time, you'll rewire how your mind responds to pressure, and guess what? You'll begin to notice how peaceful your life becomes, not because life stopped being messy, but because you stopped handing it your power. There's also something magnetic about someone who doesn't react easily. It speaks of wisdom, maturity, depth. It says, I'm not shaken by surface level stuff. I've got bigger things on my mind, and people feel that. They start respecting your energy. They think twice before trying to push your buttons, because they realize those buttons don't work anymore. But let me be clear, protecting your response doesn't mean avoiding conflict. It means handling it with power, calm power, purposeful power, the kind that doesn't scream but gets heard, the kind that doesn't burn bridges but builds boundaries. That's the power you're after, and here's the real gem. When you stop reacting to every little thing, you start seeing the big picture. You stop drowning in details, your mind clears, your vision sharpens, and your ability to stay focused on what matters. Your growth, your values, your purpose becomes unstoppable. Because at the end of the day, no one else is responsible for your peace. No one else can protect your energy. It's on you, your power, your choice, your life, too. Control your mood, or your mood will control your mission. It sounds simple, but this truth runs deep. Your emotions, your moods, are like the weather inside you. When they're calm, you move smoothly, you focus, you produce, but when storms roll in and you don't know how to manage them, suddenly everything feels off. You're distracted, agitated, less effective. And slowly, your mission, your goals, your progress starts slipping through your fingers. Most people underestimate just how much influence their mood has over their actions. You've seen it. Wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and what happens? You move slower, you're irritated by little things, you don't respond to people with kindness, maybe you skip a task or two because you're not in the mood, and just like that, a bad mood becomes a bad day. Multiply that by weeks or months, and it becomes a pattern, a personality, a lifestyle. But here's the twist. Your mood isn't a force of nature. It's not something that happens to you. It's something you can manage. Yes, emotions rise and fall. Yes, life throws things your way, but the minute you decide your mood is your responsibility, you start taking control of your mission. Your mission, whatever it is, requires consistency. It needs discipline. It needs clarity and commitment. And your mood, it can be the enemy of all that if you let it run wild. One day you're fired up and making moves. The next day you're down and doubting everything. Not because anything changed, but because your feelings shifted. Now imagine if a pilot flew a plane only when the weather was perfect. They'd rarely take off. The same is true for your dreams. If you only work when you feel like it, you'll never reach cruising altitude. Winners don't wait for the right mood, they create it. They learn how to shift their state, how to show up no matter what. That's the real edge. There are days you're not going to feel like doing the work. You won't feel motivated. You'll feel tired, frustrated, uninspired. But if you give in to that feeling every time, your mission will suffer. Your goals will stall. And worse, you'll start believing the lie that your feelings get to decide your future. This is where the great ones separate themselves. They've learned to override mood with mindset. They don't ask, "Do I feel like it?" They ask, "What needs to be done?" That simple shift can change everything. It moves you from emotion to execution, from excuses to action, and here's another layer. Your mood doesn't just affect you, it affects your environment. The people around you feel it. If you walk into a room heavy with frustration or negativity, it spreads. But if you enter with intention, grounded, focused, even if you're not at your best, you elevate the space. That's leadership, that's influence, and it starts with self-mastery. One powerful way to manage your mood is to recognize what triggers it. What situations throw you off? What people drain you? What thoughts keep looping and pulling you down? Awareness is the first step. Because once you're aware, you can prepare, you can build tools, you can develop rituals. Some people journal, some pray, some train, others meditate or take a walk, but they all do something to shift themselves back into alignment. You've got to build a system that keeps you steady, no matter how you feel. Because feelings are real, but they're not facts. They're loud, but they're not law. And if you let every emotional wave knock you off course, your mission will always be on hold. There's also this belief that if you're not feeling great, you shouldn't do anything. That's false. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs happen while you're in the struggle. You show up anyway, you push through, and something shifts. Maybe not right away, but the act of staying committed even when it's hard, that builds muscle. It builds grit, and grit gets results. Don't wait for the mood to strike. Build habits that carry you when it doesn't. Build structure into your day. Have non-negotiables. Those things you do no matter how you feel. A walk, a cold shower, reading, reflecting, whatever centers you, the more you practice this, the more control you gain, and over time you become the kind of person who doesn't just act based on feelings, but based on vision. Because let's be honest, feelings change fast. One moment you're confident, the next you're full of doubt. One text message, one comment, one missed opportunity can send you spiraling if you haven't trained yourself to stay grounded. But if you've built that inner core, if you've made it your mission to master your mood, then nothing outside of you can pull you too far off track. Think of your mission like a fire. It needs fuel. It needs protection. Your mood is like the wind. If you're not careful, it'll blow your fire out. But if you learn how to use it, how to shift it, then it becomes energy, momentum, heat. The goal isn't to eliminate feelings, it's to align them with your purpose. Some people say, I can't help it. That's just how I feel. And that may be true in the moment, but you're not stuck there. You can move, you can shift, you can rise. Every time you do, your mission gets stronger. Your momentum grows, and you start building a life that's led by purpose, not mood swings. You are not your moods. You are not your bad days. You are the force behind those things, the one who decides what to do with them. That awareness alone can change everything, because once you see yourself as the driver, not the passenger, you start taking the wheel back. You start showing up even when it's hard. You start creating consistency. And consistency over time, that's where transformation lives. 3. Peace is a decision, not a condition. Most people live like peace is something they'll find after everything calms down. They think it's waiting for them at the end of some perfect day, some flawless plan, or after all their problems are solved. But that day rarely comes, and when it does, it doesn't last long. Life is loud. It's unpredictable, so if your peace depends on perfect conditions, you'll always be chasing it, never holding it. The truth is, peace isn't out there, it's in here. It's an inner decision to stay calm in the middle of chaos. To remain steady when things go sideways. It's the choice to protect your inner space, no matter how wild the outside world gets. It's not denial, it's discipline. Every day, you'll face 1,000 chances to lose your peace. Somebody cuts you off, a friend says something that stings, you open your phone and there it is, bad news, more pressure, expectations, drama, and your mind wants to jump in. It wants to overthink, react, argue, spiral. That's easy, but peace doesn't live in the easy choice. Peace is in the pause. It's in the breath you take before you respond. It's in the space you give yourself to not get dragged into what doesn't deserve your energy. See, peace isn't passive. It's not just sitting there in silence hoping everything stays calm. Real peace is active. It's built. It's guarded. It's chosen. Sometimes you've got to fight for it, not with fists or anger, but with awareness, with boundaries, with the maturity to say, I'm not letting this get to me. A lot of people think they'll have peace once the bills are paid, the relationship is fixed, or the future is figured out. But life doesn't work on our timeline. Something will always be unfinished. Someone will always misunderstand you. And if you're waiting for peace to arrive like a package in the mail, you'll be waiting forever. That's why peace must be a choice. You've got to decide, no matter what's going on around me, I won't let it steal what's within me. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough to stay centered. You care enough to protect your state of mind. You care enough to respond with wisdom instead of worry. And here's the secret. Once you stop expecting peace to come from perfect situations, you free yourself. You stop waiting for people to act right, for your job to get easier, for your plans to go smoothly. You realize peace was never about them. It was always about you. It's also easy to confuse peace with escape. Some people numb themselves, avoid hard conversations, or bury their head in distractions and call it peace. But that's not real. That's just quiet chaos. It looks calm on the outside, but inside, there's a storm. Real peace doesn't come from ignoring problems. It comes from facing them with clarity, from knowing that even when things are unsettled, you don't have to be. You make peace with what's out of your hands. You make peace with your past. You stop trying to control everything and everyone. You focus on what you can influence. Your thoughts, your reactions, your energy. That's where real peace grows, and peace isn't always soft. Sometimes peace is bold. It's walking away from what doesn't serve you. It's saying no without guilt. It's cutting ties with toxicity, even if that means standing alone for a while. Peace is knowing that solitude is better than fake company, that silence is better than drama, that your mental health is more valuable than people's approval. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everything to be figured out. You just need to stop giving your inner balance away to things you can't control. You need to build a mindset that says, I will not be shaken by temporary chaos. My peace is mine. I earned it. I keep it. And the truth is, when you start living that way, you become unshakable. People notice. They wonder how you stay calm when things go wrong. They try to rattle you, but you don't bite. Not because you're numb, but because you're focused, you're anchored. You've made the decision again and again to choose peace over panic, grace over grudge, stillness over stress. It's not about being emotionless. You'll still feel, you'll still cry, you'll still get angry sometimes, but you won't live there. You won't let those moments define you. You'll feel it, process it, and return to your center, because peace isn't a place you visit. It's a place you live in when you train yourself to return to it. Peace is a discipline. It's in the habits you build, in the things you read, the way you start your morning, the people you surround yourself with, the words you speak to yourself when no one's listening. It's in the way you breathe when the pressure builds, the way you remind yourself, this too shall pass. I am not this moment. I am not this problem. Sometimes peace comes from preparation. When you've put in the work, when you've made decisions based on values instead of fear, peace follows. It's that deep knowing that even if things go wrong, you'll handle it, that you've been through worse, that you've survived storms before, and you didn't just survive, you grew. Other times, peace is found in letting go. Letting go of what didn't work, letting go of who hurt you, letting go of the illusion that you're in control of everything. That surrender isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I trust the process even when I don't understand the path. You might not be able to calm the storm around you, but you can calm the one within you, and when you do that consistently, your whole life changes. You start attracting different situations. You start making better decisions. You stop reacting, and you start responding. You move with intention. You speak with clarity. You act from purpose, not pressure, because peace isn't waiting for you on the other side of success. It is success. It's what makes the journey worthwhile. It's the quiet power behind every confident step, every wise decision, every graceful comeback. Peace isn't weak. It's the strongest position you can take in a world that profits off of your panic. 4. Detachment is power. That might sound cold at first, maybe even uncaring, but it's the exact opposite. It's not about being numb or disconnected. It's about being free. See, most people are tangled up. Tangled in outcomes, in opinions, in the need for things to turn out a certain way, and that attachment, that constant clinging, it drains them, it weakens them, it puts their happiness, their peace, their self-worth in the hands of things they can't control. When you're attached, you ride an emotional roller coaster. If things go your way, you're up. If they don't, you crash. You get caught in the loop of needing validation, needing approval, needing things to look a certain way to feel okay inside. But life doesn't always cooperate. People change, plans fall through. Success doesn't come on schedule, and when you're too attached, every little shift feels like a crisis. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop depending. It means you show up fully, you give your best, but you're not chained to the outcome. You stop making your internal world a reflection of the external. You stop making your peace conditional on things you can't fully control. Think about it like this. If you plant a seed, you water it, give it light, care for it. That's your part. That's your responsibility. But whether it sprouts today or next week, whether it grows straight or bends a little, that's not up to you. And if you stare at it, obsess over it, worry it's not growing fast enough, you miss the beauty of the process. You poison your own peace. Detachment says, I've done my part. Now I release what's not mine to control. Most people are trained to attach. From a young age, you're told to chase results, win the prize, get the grade, earn the praise, and somewhere along the way, you start believing that you are only as good as what you achieve, that if people like you, you're worthy. That if things work out, you're okay, but that mindset is a trap. Because then, every setback feels personal. Every rejection feels like a judgment, and every loss becomes a reflection of your value. But when you practice detachment, you realize your worth isn't tied to any of that. It's not in numbers or likes or applause. It's in your essence, your effort, your integrity, your willingness to keep showing up, no matter the result. You start finding peace in the process, not just the prize. Detachment is what allows you to operate from strength, because when you're not desperate for a certain outcome, you become bold, clear, calm. You can walk into the room without needing to prove yourself. You can take risks without the fear of failure paralyzing you. You can speak your truth without worrying about how it'll be received. Why? Because you're no longer living for reactions, you're living from alignment, and it's not just about goals, it's about people, too. We attach to people all the time. We expect them to act a certain way, treat us a certain way, love us how we want to be loved. And when they don't, we suffer, we get angry, we feel betrayed, but that suffering often comes not from what they did, but from the expectation we had. Detachment in relationships doesn't mean you don't love. It means you love without chains. You let people be who they are. You stop trying to control or fix or force. You hold space, not power. And if they stay, it's beautiful. If they leave, you grieve, but you don't lose yourself. You don't let their choices dictate your value. That kind of strength makes you magnetic. People feel it. You're not clinging, you're not chasing, you're present, grounded, whole, and ironically, the less you need people to stay, the more they're drawn to you. Because your energy is clean, you're there out of fullness, not lack. Detachment also sharpens your focus. When you're not wrapped up in what people might think, you start making decisions based on vision, not validation. You stop playing small, you stop hesitating, you take action because it's right for you, not because it might get applause. It gives you emotional freedom too. Say someone criticizes you. If you're attached to being liked, that'll crush you. You'll shrink, you'll overthink, but if you're detached, you can hear it, consider it, and decide what's true. Without spiraling, you respond instead of react. That's power, or let's say an opportunity falls through. If your identity was tied to that door, you'll feel broken. But with detachment, you trust. If it wasn't for me, it's because something better is. That's not just positive thinking. It's a mindset rooted in self-trust. In belief in peace, it doesn't mean you stop having goals or dreams. It means you pursue them without letting them define you. You work hard, yes, you aim high, but you know, whether you hit it or not, you're still whole. You're still you. You're still powerful. It takes practice, of course. Detachment isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily choice, a constant recentering. When you feel yourself getting caught up, too anxious, too obsessed, too dependent, that's the signal. That's your chance to step back, breathe, and ask, is this mine to control? Is my peace worth trading for this? Most times it's not. Sometimes detachment means letting go of timelines. You wanted it by now. You planned for it by now, but it didn't happen. So what? You're not late. You're not behind. You're on your path. Detachment gives you the flexibility to adjust without falling apart, to adapt without losing hope. And sometimes it means letting go of stories about who you're supposed to be, what success is supposed to look like, how life is supposed to go. You release the need for it to match the picture in your head. And in that release, you create space for something better, something real, something true. The most successful people you'll ever meet, they're not the most attached, they're the most aligned. They move with purpose, but they're not held hostage by outcomes. They know setbacks are part of the game. They know not everything will go their way, and still, they show up, they execute, they trust. That's detachment, not indifference, but inner strength, not avoidance, but wisdom. Not coldness, but clarity. It's the ability to care deeply and still stay grounded, to give your all and still let go, to be in the world fully but not owned by it. 5. Energy flows where your focus goes. That's not just a catchy phrase, it's a fact that shapes your entire life. Most people don't realize it, but they're feeding their frustration, their doubt, their fear every single day, just by giving it attention. They wake up and start checking everything that's wrong. They scroll through negativity. They talk about problems. They replay old mistakes. And they wonder why they feel drained, stuck, and out of control. It's because they're pouring their energy into everything they don't want instead of what they do. Your mind is a powerful engine, but like any engine, it needs direction. If you don't take the wheel, it'll drive you straight into the past, into fear, into things that steal your joy. But if you direct it, if you guide it with intention, your focus becomes your force. It becomes the tool you use to shape your day, your choices, your future, not through magic, but through the law of cause and effect. What you focus on expands. What you give energy to grows. You ever notice how when you're worried about something, suddenly everything reminds you of it? It's like your brain is on high alert, finding evidence to match your fears. That's your focus at work. It's scanning, filtering, and amplifying whatever you've locked in on. Now imagine if you flipped that. If instead of focusing on what's missing, you locked in on what's possible. Instead of watching for problems, you started spotting opportunities. Your energy would shift. Your emotions would shift. Your life would shift. But it takes discipline because the world is loud. It's full of distractions and demands. There's always something trying to pull your attention, news, opinions, comparison, drama, and if you're not careful, you'll hand over your focus without even realizing it. You'll be reacting all day long instead of creating. You'll be pulled instead of directed, and that's no way to live. So you've got to guard your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. You've got to wake up and choose what you give your energy to. You've got to decide, this is where I'm going, and I'm not giving my attention to anything that pulls me off course. That's not denial, it's discipline. It's not ignoring reality, it's shaping it. Let's get real, things are going to happen. Life isn't always smooth. People won't always act right. You'll hit obstacles, you'll face delays, but the difference between someone who keeps rising and someone who stays stuck is simple. One chooses to focus on what's next, while the other stays trapped in what's wrong. One uses their energy to build, the other uses it to break themselves down. You have to be mindful of the conversations you entertain, both with others and with yourself. That voice in your head, it listens to everything you focus on. If you're always thinking about what you lack, that voice will start confirming it. If you dwell on setbacks, it'll tell you you're stuck. But if you focus on growth, it'll start guiding you forward. If you lock in on progress, it'll start finding ways to keep it going. And here's something else. Your focus isn't just about thought, it's about presence. How often do people move through the day without really being in it? Their body is here, but their mind is somewhere else, thinking about yesterday, worrying about tomorrow. They're never here. But when you're present, truly present, your focus sharpens. You start to see details, patterns, options. You stop missing life and you start living it. Your energy becomes laser, focused. You become powerful. This applies to every part of your life. Relationships. Focus on what's working and you'll find more connection. Focus on every flaw and you'll find more distance. Health. Focus on the small wins, the good choices, and momentum builds. Keep focusing on how far you have to go, and you'll feel defeated before you begin. Business, goals, learning, same thing. Your energy follows your attention, so be intentional with it. Now, that doesn't mean ignore challenges. It means approach them with a focused mind, not a scattered one. A focused mind says, this is the issue. Now, what can I do about it? A scattered mind says, why me? Why now? What if it gets worse? One keeps you in motion, the other keeps you stuck. You've got to learn how to redirect your focus when it drifts. Because it will drift. That's natural. You'll have days when negativity creeps in. Doubt sneaks up. But instead of letting it spiral, you catch it. You say, nope, not today. You choose a better thought. A better action, a better target for your attention. That's how you build strength. That's how you build discipline. You don't need to fake positivity. This isn't about plastering on a smile or pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing what deserves your energy. It's about saying, yes, this is hard, but I'm not giving it more power than it deserves. I'm putting my focus on what I can build, not what I fear. That shift in focus changes everything. And sometimes you've got to audit your environment. Who and what are you giving your energy to? What do you allow to take up space in your mind, in your day? Are you constantly surrounded by negativity, complaints, noise? Or are you filling your space with people and inputs that fuel your purpose, sharpen your mindset, elevate your vision? Your energy is currency. Don't spend it on things that give you no return. Don't invest it in opinions you didn't ask for, arguments that don't matter, or fears that don't belong to you. Focus is your filter. Use it to guard your peace, protect your vision, and stay aligned with your values. There's power in narrowing your attention, in saying, this is what matters right now. You stop multitasking your life. You stop diluting your presence. You get more done. You feel more clear. You show up more fully. And when you do that consistently, day after day, your life begins to reflect that clarity, because your focus isn't just shaping your moment, it's shaping your future. Every time you choose to direct your energy toward growth, you're laying bricks for something greater. Every time you say no to distractions and yes to discipline, you're building something solid, something lasting, something powerful. It's not always easy, it's not always exciting, but it's always worth it. Because the person who learns how to master their focus becomes unstoppable. They're not controlled by circumstances. They're not swayed by chaos. They move with purpose, with precision, with quiet fire. They know where they're going, and they're not giving their energy to anything that doesn't serve that mission.